Hey everybody, it's Ann BB. Today is Tuesday, July 6th, 2021. I'm Barb Hammer. I've been missing in action for over 2 months. I'm sorry. Um, haven't made a video. Sorry, some traffic here. I haven't made a video since late April. Yeah, and that's because I've been really busy with moving and getting settled into a new place, fixing things, and it's been really draining. I just haven't had the energy to make videos. Still very disorganized. Anyway, I wanted to make this video because I passed by this. This is a prison, the Matsui complex. It's a prison, and it's a big chunk of ground here. It's near a school. It's in a residential, it's off a residential area here. Yeah, I'll shoot down there. So yeah, that's where we are. Lots of nice big tall trees here too. Um, and these are the grounds here. Very bright sun. I'm hoping the lighting is okay here. I can't really see very well what I got, but anyway, I pass this often. It's on a street or road where there isn't as much traffic and not as many traffic lights, so it's kind of a good way to get around Abbotsford, where I live in the Fraser Valley, east of Vancouver. Anyway, so I noticed as I was passing by here, I saw this like display here, and there are Dreamcatchers, and they're little notes tied to the fence. And I realized, because of the Dreamcatchers, which is a popular Indigenous symbol, and these little notes, I said to my husband when we were in the car, I bet this has to do with, I'm sorry, I can't really see what I'm aiming at here, but these little notes, these are from school kids, maybe from the school nearby. And it has to do with the graves of the children, Indigenous children they found in Canada. It's gotten a lot of coverage. Something suspicious about that. I mean, whenever mainstream media covers something, you can be pretty sure there's some kind of agenda going on. And so I wanted to come and take a closer look. So the reason they got this display here is because, unfortunately, it's kind of like in the U.S., a disproportionate number of prison inmates are minority. In the U.S., tends to be African American, Latino, and in Canada, a disproportionate number of inmates are Indigenous. Yeah. So I think that's why this display is here, because I'm sure there are lots of Indigenous inmates here. So the school kids have written little notes about the kids, and yeah, it's interesting. When these stories started coming out, somebody was saying incorrectly that these stories get buried in the media. No, they don't get buried. They get coverage, and then it gets forgotten. It gets forgotten, and yeah, it's sad. And then the story disappears. I'm not sure. I'm taking a picture of this. Just this. So that was so I was told, so there was a guard or something. He didn't want me taking a picture of the prison. So he came out specifically to tell me that. Isn't that interesting? So I can't even see it from here. And that's something, they knew I was here. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, that's where it is. That's where we are. We are in fascist Canada now. So yeah, I gotta keep an eye on these things. Um, so yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so these stories. So they're, the residential. That's what they're called, residential schools in Canada. Um, so they were assimilation institutions. It was to destroy Indigenous families, cultures, break them up. They took kids and put them in these institutions where they were abused and even tested on. They tested vaccines and whatever. So it was kind of like Nazi Germany. Um, so this, people have known about this uh, legacy for a long time. So it's getting a lot of coverage now. But why? So it seems to be a parallel to the Black Lives Matter movement in the U.S., which is sort of a divide and conquer, keeping people divided along identity lines of identity. They don't want people united, ordinary people. They don't want ordinary people united. Um, so the Black Lives Matter agenda, it's connected to defund the police. So they want to do away with public policing, public services like that. It'll be turned into a private militia anyway. But this is all same thing. So local Punjabi Sikh community, um, they are very community minded, and there was a local South Asian print shop, and they made up a sign. All children matter, and that's very inclusive. It's not this divisive, Indigenous lives matter or Black lives matter. Just unite everybody, to care about kids and be concerned about this story. But anyway, I'm really wondering, there is something going on with this agenda, and I know there's the possibility of a federal election this year, so I don't know if there's some connection there. Federal government has just appointed a lady who's half Inuit as the Governor General, who is the Queen's representative in Canada. Yeah, she's her father was white European, but her mother was, yeah, he was working for the Hudson Bay Company, which was a very colonial, that's a very centuries old colonial institution in Canada. Yeah, the trading post across Canada when they were starting to colonize Canada from the UK, Britain, Europe. The Dreamcatchers. I want to talk a little bit about Dreamcatcher. I wasn't sure the origins of that. So it's a Ojibwe. Ojibwe are the people in Ontario, and I think like northern, like Minnesota. So on both sides of the border. And I think they were sometimes called the Chickasaw. Chickasaw, I think. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, so the Ojibwe, and actually where I live, there's a woman whose husband is half Ojibwe. So the Dreamcatcher was simple. It was protection. They would hang it over babies' cradles or beds, children's beds, to protect them. And it was like Dreamcatcher. It comes from an Ojibwe word, which means spider web, spider web, and that's why it has that sort of a spider web look. I don't know if I've got this. Yeah, I think I got this in the. Yeah, so that's what a Dreamcatcher is. So it's a protection for babies, children. What else? Oh, I was watching in a live stream an interview with Eva Bartlett, who is Canadian, but she has dual citizenship because she was born in the U.S., I believe. And I was kind of shocked. I was listening. She was talking about this issue of the graves of the children, Indigenous kids, and she was referring to people, Indigenous people in Canada's tribes, and I have never ever heard. That's a very old kind of colonial reference to people, indigenous people. I was kind of shocked to hear that, tribes. I know that's sort of a standard term in the U.S., but in Canada, that's not really, that's frowned upon. I was shocked. And, you know, Eva Bartlett, she's a mixed bag. She was, I don't know, she's a propagandist, really. So she kind of, I've always wondered about her because she travels around, no money problems, travels a lot. Now she's living in a very nice log home outside of Moscow, or in Russia somewhere, between Moscow and the border with Ukraine, Donbass, eastern Ukraine, where she's gone to. And she admitted that she goes to places and she doesn't really know that much about it. And so she just says, well, I'm just there to learn. I'm not a know-it-all. Well, I'm sorry, but that's a bad tourist. So when I go somewhere, I want to know a little bit. You know, it's not like I'm going to know everything, but I like to know a little bit. And she didn't know anything about, she really didn't know that much about Ukraine, knew nothing about the Orange Revolution. You know, Ukraine's had 2 color revolutions, these orchestrated psyops to overthrow governments. Yeah, I was kind of shocked. So, I don't know. She's sort of a stereotype of the Canadian woman. She's very tight-lipped, you know, prune mouth. She's got a prune mouth. I don't know. It's just, you can take the, you know, she says she can't relate to Canada anymore, you know, when she comes back. Well, she's still very Canadian. You can take the girl out of Canada, but she can't take the Canada out of the girl. And, you know, like, I mean, I'm from the U.S. and I go back and I can, you know, I can't relate to the government, but I can relate to people there. You know, that's where I grew up. So, I don't know. She doesn't seem to be able to relate to, like, ordinary Canadians, I think, or something. It's so bizarre. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this display and kind of talk about this agenda going on with there's so much coverage of the graves and the Indigenous kids in Canada. Very tragic, and it's a terrible story, and it needs to be discussed. But the burning of churches and tearing down statues does nothing, you know. And a lot of the problems are Indigenous leaders. You know, Indigenous leaders, they've just become establishment figures. They sort of undermine their resistance, so the controlled opposition. And the lives of ordinary Indigenous people in Canada never change. They just don't change. Nothing gets better. Anyway, I guess that's it for now. So, I don't know when I'll make another video. I got a lot of things I need to talk about, but it's a matter of getting the energy. I had to deal with the heat wave here recently. That took a lot out of us anyway. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.